This is the greatest eclipse that ever occurred in history. The 25th of January 1944, just below the Great Pyramid. The distance to my birth location, 105 Rothschild Avenue in Sydney, Australia, is 8,888.8 miles. From that location right there. I'm now going to change location and go to the date of the Star of Bethlehem. Show you what that was. Jerusalem's only a few miles off that location. That is the date there, June the 17th, 2 BC. We'll go back 60 days and you'll see this is Judah, that's Jupiter. We're going to run the animation. You'll see coming from the right at that point there, which is just on the eve of the alignment between the blue planet, which is Jupiter, and Venus, which is the yellow planet. Watch what happens. The white planet, which is Mercury, goes into a retrograde motion. And we'll see that the Venus, the morning star, lines up with Jupiter once again, this time on October the 11th, 1011, in astronomy numbers, and that's how many times the word David is found in the New and Old Testament of the King James Bible. But it's also a code, because DAVID multiplied by itself in English gematria is 3168 Lord Jesus Christ, and that date is my mother's birthday in 1912. We're now going to go to Sydney. And the date, January the 11th, 42. And what happens is we're going to look at the stars. We're going to zoom out a bit. That's correct. What's happening here is immediately there's two conjunctions, retrograde motions, which is firstly the yellow planet, which is Venus, and the white planet behind the sun there, which is Mercury. And then we'll see that Mars lines up with Jupiter at this point here, and it's quickly being overtaken by the white planet, which is Mercury. Mercury lines up with Saturn here, and all these planets will go into retrograde motions, which we'll show you. There's another eclipse there, a retrograde motion starting on Venus, and it's lined up with a conjunction between Jupiter. Jupiter is 88,800 miles wide. It's pretty obvious it's Jesus. So here we have Venus approaching the blue planet, and it's just past it there, which is now signalling to the masses that we've had several strange things occurring. Here we have the purple planet here, which is Saturn. It's gone into retrograde motion. That's why you've got a line back to the centre point there. And we see the same thing happening in Jupiter. It's gone into retrograde motion. And if you watch the red planet coming up, it will also go into retrograde motion. We see it's happened again here with Mercury. It's coming up on Saturn, which is now going the other direction, and so is Jupiter. Saturn is now being overtaken by Mars, which is the red and purple planets, and they're both going into retrograde motion. We see on the right side here, we see Mercury going into retrograde motion again. We've just passed my birth date. We see a conjunction between Saturn and Mars. We see another conjunction coming up now, retrograde motion, Mercury and Venus overtaking it. We have a triple conjunction between Mercury, Saturn and Venus. Venus is a yellow line, it's obscured at the moment. We're now approaching the end of 1944, and then we all calm down again. That's basically what happened, and this has primarily been ignored by the scholars of the world. Two retrogrades, conjunction, coming up to retrograde conjunction with Jupiter. There's a conjunction, another conjunction, retrograde. So all 5 stars are going into retrograde motion in the year leading up to and including the year I was born. Wonderful thing to see. This is one of the most spectacular displays you'll ever see in the history of the Earth. We'll now do it again. This time we'll do the moon as well. So you can see it is a clock, a chronograph of time. The moon is the second hand. And the planets divide the chronograph of time up into the solar year and longer. Each time the moon changes to a full moon, the sea produces life, and women ovulate in tune with the moon.